copy of it later. Okay, so for this first example, would I need to flip my inequality symbol? Yes or no? I want you to type directly, privately to me in the chat, either yes or no. Do you think you would need to flip the inequality symbol when solving this problem? Yes or no? So take a second to type yes or no in the chat, and we will see what you guys come up with. Make sure everyone is typing. I didn't open it yet, but I see 13 responses. There's 16 of you. So make sure everyone answers. All right, we got a little bit of some mixed responses here, but it looks like the majority of you are correct. You would not have to flip this one. Okay, so let's start solving it and we'll see why. So first thing you're gonna do is add 12 to both sides. So plus 12 on both sides. The negative 12 and the plus 12 will be 0. Bring down the 4x. 6 plus 12 is 18. Okay, so what we're going to do to solve this one is we're going to be dividing by 4. So remember, if you multiply or divide by a positive number, nothing changes. It just regular like normal, bring the inequality down. So since this 4 is a positive 4, we do not have to flip. Okay, so you always want to look at the number that is in front of the x. That'll tell you whether you have to flip or not. So actually, when you divide 18 by 4, you get 4.5. So if we go to graph this, oh my goodness, look at that line. That is so crooked. Hang on, let me fix that. All right, so when you go to graph this on a number line, that's not that much better. Since it's 4.5, you can count by halves on your number line. Like I usually put the number right in the middle. You could also do 4, 5, and put the dot right in the middle. That's fine too. It doesn't really matter how you want to do it. The arrow or the circle would be open and the arrow would go to the right since it's greater than. Okay? Any questions about that one so far? You should make sure you're writing this down in your notes if you have them. All right. Now, let's take a look at example number 2. Again, before we solve it, I want you to tell me in the chat, yes or no, do you think you would need to flip this inequality symbol when we're solving it? So go ahead, give me a yes or a no, whatever you think. It's okay if you're wrong. All right, let's see. We have yes, yes, mostly yeses, which is good. That is correct. Yes, in this case, it's because that the 1/3, which is next to the x, is negative. So go ahead, we're going to solve this like we normally would by subtracting 6 first. So write down -6. And then the 6's cross out. We have -1/3 x is greater than -15. And then our last step, which would be to multiply both sides by the reciprocal -3/1. So times -3/1, that's going to cross all of this out. And then -15 times -3 is a +45. And remember, we're going to flip this from greater than to less than because we multiplied by a -3. So that's our answer. X is less than 45, it's no longer greater than. Okay, so quick number line. Here's 45. Open circle and to the left because it's less than. Does anyone have any questions about example 2 before we do our third and final example together for today? Questions about that one? Okay, so our last one, this one's a little tricky. I want you to type again in the chat, yes or no. Do you think you would need to flip for this one? Yes or no? This one's a little harder, I think, to answer. So give me your best thought based on what you know. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. We got another mix. This one's a little harder. So if you look directly, those of you that said yes are actually correct. This one's a little tricky. If you look right in front of the H, we have a -3. Even when I distribute and multiply by a +2, it's still going to stay negative. So the number in front of the variable is the one that's going to cause the flip. So if it's negative, then you flip. So if we go to solve this, since 2 times -3h is -6h, that's still negative, so we will still need to flip. 2 times 6 is 12, less than or equal to 18. Add 12 to both sides. Then you get -6h is less than or equal to 30. And when we divide both sides by a negative, here's where the flip happens. Since the 6 is negative and we're dividing by a negative, that's what causes the flip. So it becomes h is now greater or equal to a -5. That is our final answer. And as a quick little graph, we have -5, -4, and -6. This one is a closed circle because it's greater or equal. So when it has the line underneath it, we close that, shade in that circle, and then greater than will go to the right. All right, so finish filling that one in. That's the last one we're going to do in our notes for today. But I think, like to have you guys try at least 1 or 2 and then type your answers in the chat to me. So finish up copying that down and then I will show you which ones to try on some scratch paper, or even if you have space on your notes, you can just write it right down on your notes. All right, so let's start with the first one. Try this first one and type your answer to me in the chat when you're done. Please, even if you move on to the second one, don't type your answer to the second one just yet until I ask for it. So that way, when I'm scrolling through, I'm looking for all of the same answers. So on a piece of scratch paper, work on this first one, type me your answer when you are done. Okay, be really careful with the negatives. You can use a calculator and all that good stuff. Okay, I have about half of your answers so far. I'll give you another minute or two to keep working on this one. If you're done, you can go ahead and move on to the next one, but don't type your answer in the chat just yet. I'm going to go over the first one. Okay, about 3 more people that need to type their answer in the chat for the first question. Whoops. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's go over this one. The first thing you would do for this one is what? Who can tell me what your first step would be for this one? Let's go with Molly, can you tell me what your first step is for that first one?
You have to add 8.
Close, not add 8. Remember, you want to do the opposite. So you're actually going to do -8. Okay.
Minus 8.
Yeah, -8. So we want to do -8, and then we get -2p, which is greater than 4 minus 8 is -4. Okay. If you're still getting these things wrong, like 4 minus 8, make sure you're double checking yourself on a calculator. And then our second step would be to do what? Let's go with Lexi. Can you tell us what the second step is for this one? The first problem?
Then you would divide by -2.
Good. Divide both sides by -2. So some of you caught this, some of you didn't. Some of you did all of the right steps, but you didn't flip the inequality symbol. When you divide by a negative, you have to flip it. So some of you wrote p is greater than 2, but it should be p is less than 2. So be very, very, very careful that you flip that symbol. All right, let's do this second one. This will be our last one. Type your answer in the chat when you're done with this one. I will tell you for this one, the first thing you want to do is combine the -2x and the +5x. And you want to combine that to be something x minus 6. I'm not going to tell you what that something is, but I want you to fill in that blank. That'll be your first step. So whatever -2x plus 5x is, that's going to go right there. And then when you're all done, now this one I know you can't type less or equal, like there's no keyboard button for that. So you could do that. Okay, or if you decide you need to flip it, you could do that. Or you can type out the words. Some of you are typing out the words. That's fine too. All right, so take a couple minutes to solve this one, and then we'll go over it, and then we'll be all done for today. All right, who can tell me what you get when you combine negative 2x plus 5x? What would that be? MJ, can you tell me what negative 2x plus 5x is?
What'd you say?
Can you tell me what negative 2x plus 5x is?
Wait, sorry. Wouldn't that be like 3x?
Yep,
Because
3x.
yeah.
So you would get 3x minus 6 is less than or equal to negative 9. What would I do after that? What would be my next step? Tell me, Olivia, what would be my next step after I get 3x minus 6 is less than or equal to negative 9? What would I do next?
Sorry, divide it by 3?
Not yet. There's one step before that.
Oh, sorry, add 6.
Yeah, you got it. Add 6. Add 6. So then we get, and I am kind of running out of space here, 3x is less than or equal to negative 9 plus 6 is negative 3. Then our final step, as Olivia said, is to divide by 3. Now, here's where some of you made your mistake. When I divide by a positive 3, it doesn't matter that my answer is a negative 1. Since I'm dividing by a positive 3, I do not flip for this one. Okay, it's only if the number you divide by, the number that you put right here, the 3, if that was negative, then you would flip. So this is x is less than or equal to negative 1. You have to make sure you understand what causes the flip. It has nothing to do with whether your answer is positive or negative. Okay, it's whether or not the number you multiply or divide by is negative. So you have to be very careful. So just to clarify, this is the number that you look at, the one I'm circling in red. That's the one that determines the flip. If it's negative, you flip. If it's positive, you don't. Okay? All right, that is all I have for today. You are going to, like I said earlier, do the 8.8 practice A worksheet.